The 6-second myth. You hear fans counting it down, but referees rarely blow the whistle for it. Law 12 states that a goalkeeper is not permitted to keep control of the ball in their hands for more than 6 seconds. If they exceed this, the punishment is incredibly severe. An indirect free kick inside the penalty box. While keepers time waste constantly, this rule was famously enforced in the Europa League in 2015. Liverpool goalkeeper Simon Mignolet held onto the ball for a staggering 22 seconds against Bordeaux. The referee finally lost patience and blew the whistle. It resulted in a chaotic scene where Bordeaux set up an indirect free kick inside a crowded box and promptly scored, costing Liverpool the clean sheet. Mignolet looked genuinely shocked, as if he forgot the rule existed. The crowd went from restless whistling to cheering the referee's pedantry. It remains one of the few times a top-tier referee actually penalised a keeper for time wasting with a free kick rather than a yellow card. It is technically still the rule, though referees almost universally ignore the 6-second limit, preferring to just warn the keeper unless it becomes egregious. Interference from foreign objects. We all love it when a stray dog runs onto the pitch, but the rules regarding foreign objects are surprisingly specific. A referee isn't actually required to stop the game just because a second ball or a balloon rolls onto the grass. They only blow the whistle if it actively interferes with play. But if that object strikes the match ball, the game is dead immediately. The most infamous violation of this happened in 2009 between Sunderland and Liverpool. A Liverpool fan threw a large red beach ball onto the pitch, which drifted right into the penalty box. Sunderland's Darren Bent took a shot which slammed into the inflatable, completely bamboozled goalkeeper Pepe Reina and deflected into the net. Unbelievably, the referee let the goal stand. This was a massive error. By law, the instant the leather ball hit the plastic ball, play should have stopped for a dropped ball. It remains the only time a Premier League team has lost a match because of a pool toy. The Backpass Rule. This is the rule that saved football from itself. Introduced in 1992, it forbids a goalkeeper from handling the ball if a teammate deliberately kicks it to them. If they do, it's an indirect free kick inside the box. However, passes off the knee, chest or head are still legally allowed to be handled. Before 1992, the World Cup in Italy was a snooze fest. Teams would go 1-0 up and then spend the last 20 minutes passing the ball from defender to keeper and back again, wasting endless time. The rule change caused chaos in the Premier League's first season. Defenders panicked, and goalkeepers who couldn't kick suddenly had to learn. Fans cheered as the pace of the game skyrocketed. Defenders, however, were terrified. You'd see centre-backs diving on the floor to head a ball back to the keeper just to bypass the rule, looking absolutely ridiculous in the process. Still the most important rule change in modern history: the self-destruct safety valve. We've all seen goalkeepers mess up a back pass, but there is a specific safety net in Law 15 regarding throw-ins. You cannot score a goal directly from a throw-in. This includes an own goal. If you throw the ball back to your goalkeeper and it skips over their foot and goes directly into the net without anyone touching it, a goal is not awarded. Instead, a corner kick is given to the opposition. In the bizarre second city derby of 2002 between Aston Villa and Birmingham City, Villa defender Olof Mellberg threw the ball back to his keeper. Enkelman took his eye off the ball and it rolled under his foot and into the net. The referee awarded the goal because he judged that the ball brushed Enkelman's studs. Enkelman had his head in his hands, arguably the most embarrassed man in Birmingham. Villa fans were irate, claiming he never touched it. If he had cleanly missed the ball, it would have just been a corner kick, and his humiliation would have been saved. If you are a keeper and a throw-in is coming at your open net, and you know you can't control it, your best move is actually to not touch it at all. The pants privilege. Have you ever noticed that goalkeepers are the only players allowed to wear trousers? While outfield players are strictly regulated to shorts, Law 4 makes a specific exception for keepers to wear tracksuit bottoms. This pants privilege is designed to protect their legs from friction burns when diving on hard surfaces. The patron saint of this rule is Hungarian legend Gabor Kirali. He famously played in the Euros, wearing baggy grey cotton jogging bottoms that looked like he bought them at a supermarket for $10. Opponents mocked him, thinking he looked unprofessional. But Kirali didn't care. He valued comfort over fashion. He became a cult hero, known as the Pajama Man. While modern keepers have mostly switched to tight compression gear, Kiraly proved that you can look like you're ready for a nap and still keep a clean sheet against the best in the world. The instant kickoff goal. For decades, the ball had to move forward at kickoff, requiring 2 players. In 2016, the law changed to allow the ball to move in any direction. This inadvertently popularised the shoot on-site kickoff. You can legally score a goal from the very first touch of the game. While rare in the top flight due to keeper awareness, shorter leagues see this often. A viral example happened in the Scottish lower tiers, where a player noticed the keeper off his line while high-fiving teammates and lobbed him directly from the centre circle. The ultimate embarrassment for a goalkeeper. Conceding a goal before you've even touched the grass or set your feet is a career lowlight. Legal and encouraged if you have the audacity. The jewellery ban. Footballers are known for their flashiness, but according to Law 4, the pitch is a strictly bling-free zone. The rule is absolute. All items of jewellery, necklaces, rings, and even rubber bands are forbidden. You technically aren't even allowed to tape over them, despite what you might see in amateur Sunday leagues. If it sparkles, it has to go. Yet, players still try to sneak it past the officials. The most famous recent example was France's Jules Koundé at the 2022 World Cup. He incredibly played 41 minutes against Poland, wearing 2 gold chains before a linesman finally spotted them. The game ground to a halt, so a trainer could frantically help him unhook the jewellery. It was a humiliating scene. A world-class defender struggling with a tiny clasp with sweaty hands, while his manager stared daggers at him from the bench. The rule exists for safety to prevent snagging and tearing, but mostly it just saves players from looking unprepared on global television. The throw-in offside hack. Everyone knows the offside rule is the most debated law in football, but there is a massive exception written into Law 11 that acts as a cheat code. There is no offside offence if a player receives the ball directly from a throw-in. This allows attackers to stand miles behind the defensive line, effectively cherry-picking, as long as the thrower has the range to reach them. This was weaponised to perfection by Stoke City in the late 2000s. With Rory Delap's javelin-like long throws, Stoke could bypass the entire midfield. Teams like Arsenal and Manchester United would fall apart because their defenders instinctively stepped up to play an offside trap that legally didn't exist. Delap would launch the ball deep into the box to Ricardo Fuller or Mamadi Sidibe, who were technically offside but legally in the clear. Managers like Arsène Wenger absolutely hated it, calling it anti-football. Defenders would stand looking at the linesman with their arms raised, only to realise the flag stayed down, leading to panic and scrambled goals. 100% legal. It remains a valid tactical loophole, though fewer teams possess a long throw specialist capable of exploiting it today. Off-field offside. If a defender steps off the field of play, accidentally or to claim injury, without the ref's permission, they are deemed to be standing on the goal line or touch line for the purpose of offside. You cannot just step off the pitch to play an attacker offside. The most famous example occurred at Euro 2008 during the Netherlands versus Italy match. In a chaotic scramble, Italian defender Christian Panucci collided with his own goalkeeper, Gianluigi Buffon, and fell deep behind the goal line, completely off the pitch. Moments later, Ruud van Nistelrooy scored. It looked miles offside. Buffon went absolutely ballistic, screaming at the linesman, but the goal stood. Why? Because Panucci, despite lying near the advertising boards, still counted as the last defender active in play. The rule exists specifically to prevent teams from manipulating the game's geometry by simply hopping out of bounds when the heat is on. The quick free kick, wait for the whistle, screams every defender on the planet, but they are dead wrong. Unless the referee explicitly stops play to show a yellow card or pace out the 10 yards, the attackers hold all the power. If the ball is stationary, they can shoot immediately. The masterclass in this dark art was Thierry Henry against Wigan in 2005. While the Wigan goalkeeper was busy screaming at his defenders and trying to organise a wall, Henry simply looked at the referee and whispered, "Can I take it?" The ref gave a subtle nod. Bang. Goal. The Wigan players went apoplectic, surrounding the official and claiming they weren't ready. But the hard truth is that defenders have no God-given right to set up a wall. The rule is clear. The game doesn't stop just because you are disorganised. It's a ruthless lesson that if you stop to argue or fix your socks, you've probably already conceded. No offside in your own half. Everyone thinks they understand offside, but there is a magic boundary where the rule completely ceases to exist. The halfway line. The laws state that a player cannot be in an offside position if they are in their own half of the field. This creates a loophole where an attacker can be standing 50 metres clear of the last defender, looking blatantly illegal, yet be perfectly safe. The most famous example is Fernando Torres, sending Chelsea to the Champions League final in 2012 against Barcelona. With Barcelona desperately pushing upfield, Torres stood completely alone, practically a separate postcode away from the defence. When the ball was cleared, your brain instantly screams, offside. But because Torres was camping just inside his own half when the pass was kicked, the flag stayed down. He had a legal, unchallenged 50-metre sprint to the goal. It is a visual that breaks the brain. But for a counter-attacking team, that white centre line isn't just paint. It is an ironclad shield. Shirt off. Scoring a last-minute winner is the highest high in sports. But standing right there to ruin the party is the referee with a mandatory yellow card. The rules allow absolutely zero discretion here. It doesn't matter if it's a Sunday League game or the Champions League final. If the nipples are out, the card is out. The undisputed king of this violation is Cristiano Ronaldo. He treats a yellow card like a small tax he pays to show the world his abs. A prime example was his stoppage time winner against Ireland in 2021. He scored to break the all-time international goal-scoring record, ripped off his jersey, and hit the flex. The referee immediately booked him, and that card actually suspended him for the next match. Cynics say the rule exists to keep sponsor logos visible on TV, but for Ronaldo, he is the brand. He knew the punishment was coming. The burst ball rule. We tend to think of the ball as the one constant in the game, but what happens if the equipment itself fails? If the ball bursts or becomes defective during play, the game stops immediately. It doesn't matter if the ball is sailing into the top corner for a winning goal. If it pops mid-air before crossing the line, the goal does not count. The game restarts with a dropped ball at the spot where the disaster happened. While we have seen hulking defenders like Daniel Van Boyten stomp on balls until they pop, the most famous clips are the comedic ones. A striker winds up for a power shot, only for the ball to explode upon impact and roll sadly to the keeper like a flat pancake. It usually gets a laugh, but imagine the chaos if this happened in the 90th minute of a Champions League final. The offside exceptions. Offside is the most debated rule in football, but did you know there are 3 specific cheat codes that disable it entirely? The laws state you cannot be offside directly from a throw-in, a corner kick, or, the one everyone forgets, a goal kick. The goal kick exception is the ultimate weapon for creating chaos. It allows a striker to camp out deep in the opponent's half, miles behind the defenders. If their goalkeeper has a cannon for a leg and launches the ball 80 yards over everyone's head, that striker is legally clean through on goal. This tactic breaks the brains of defenders. They operate on muscle memory and instinctively step up to set the offside trap. But when the ball flies over them and the linesman stays frozen like a statue, absolute panic sets in. It defies the geometry of the game, turning a boring defensive restart into a one-on-one breakaway. It's fully exploitable, yet teams rarely use it. The rejected substitution. We assume the manager is the ultimate boss. If they hold up the board with your number on it, you walk off. But what happens if you just don't? There is a bizarre loophole in Law 3 regarding substitutions. A change is only completed when the player leaves the field. If a player refuses to exit, the referee cannot physically force them off. They simply shrug, ignore the manager, and restart the match. The ultimate example of this mutiny occurred in the 2019 Carabao Cup final. Chelsea manager Maurizio Sarri tried to sub goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga before the penalty shootout. Kepa, standing in his goal, furiously wagged his finger and screamed, "No!" Sarri nearly ripped his tracksuit apart in pure rage, but the referee was powerless to intervene. The match continued with Kepa in goal. It was the most public undermining of authority in modern football history. Technically, keeper was following the laws of the game perfectly, even if he was breaking every unwritten rule of the dressing room. Accidental handball disallowance. Handball is the most confusing rule in football because it is usually so subjective. Was it intentional? Was the arm in a natural position? But there is one area where the rules are brutally simple: scoring goals. If the ball touches an attacker's hand or arm immediately before they score, even if it is totally accidental, unavoidable, or grazed their fingernail while they were looking the other way, the goal is dead. This zero tolerance policy is the source of endless VAR drama and furious fans chanting, "The game is gone." We have seen spectacular bicycle kicks and last-minute winners wiped off the board simply because the ball brushed a striker's bicep in the build-up, while a defender can get away with an accidental handball if their arm is by their side. An attacker gets zero margin for error. It feels completely against the spirit of the game, punishing biology rather than cheating, but the rulebook is rigid. If you want the goal to stand, you better hope your arms were invisible. The one boot wonder, Law 4, covers players' equipment. The rule states that if a player loses their footwear or shin guard accidentally, they must replace it as soon as possible. However, and here is the kicker, they are allowed to continue playing until the ball next goes out of play. This means you can legally score a goal while wearing only one boot. The ultimate proof comes from the greatest of all time, Lionel Messi. In a 2017 El Clasico against Real Madrid, Messi lost his right boot after a heavy tackle from Marcelo. Instead of stopping, he continued the run, received a pass from Jordi Alba, and curled a shot into the net to assist Alex Vidal, all while playing with one sock and one boot. The replays went viral instantly. Fans zoomed in on his foot, realising he had just humiliated the European champions while half-dressed. It added to the alien mystique of Messi that he didn't even need shoes to destroy a defence. Still legal. As long as the loss of footwear is accidental and you put it back on at the next stoppage, the goal stands. The self-back pass trick ban. Players are creative, but you can't cheat the system. Law 12 states you cannot use a deliberate trick to circumvent the backpass rule. This means flicking the ball up from your foot to your own head, chest or knee just to pass it back to the goalkeeper is illegal. Marco Verratti tried this for PSG against Nantes. He got on his hands and knees to head a rolling ball back to his keeper. The referee immediately stopped play, not because the keeper picked it up, but because the act itself was unsporting behaviour. Verratti was booked and Nantes got a free kick. Verratti looked bewildered, arguing he used his head, but the referee correctly identified that he manufactured the situation artificially. It was a victory for the spirit of the law over the letter of the law. Strictly illegal. It's an automatic yellow card for unsporting behaviour. The goal kickbox rule. If you watch modern football, you will see defenders standing inside their own penalty box, waiting for a short pass from the keeper. 5 years ago, this was illegal. Until the rule change in 2019, the law required the ball to fully exit the 18-yard box before it was considered in play. This created a bizarre safety net for terrible goalkeepers. A classic example involved Joe Hart. He once fluffed a short goal kick, tapping it to a teammate inside the box who wasn't looking. A striker immediately intercepted the ball and scored, but the referee blew the whistle and disallowed the goal. Why? Because technically, the ball hadn't left the area, so the game hadn't officially restarted. Hart was effectively saved by his own incompetence. Now that loophole is dead. Today, the ball is live the moment it moves. This simple change birthed the modern obsession with playing out from the back, turning the penalty area into a high-stakes minefield where one bad touch leads to disaster. Excessive celebration. This is widely considered the cruelest rule in modern football. It creates a scenario of pure emotional whiplash. Imagine this. You score a stoppage time winner. The stadium erupts. In a moment of pure ecstasy, you rip your shirt off, jump the advertising boards, and hug a random stranger in row Z. The referee books you for excessive celebration. You don't care. You just won the game. But then, the dreaded VAR finger goes to the ear. Review. The goal is disallowed for a foul in the build-up. Here is the kick in the teeth. While the goal is deleted from history, your yellow card remains. It feels like a glitch in the matrix. How can you be punished for celebrating an event that didn't happen? The law states that the booking is for the behaviour, regardless of the match context. You are left standing there with no goal, a yellow card, and your shirt in your hand, looking like a total clown. The sacred corner flag, it is a nuisance, it gets in the way, but you absolutely cannot touch it. We are talking about the corner flag. Law 1 states the post must be at least 1.5 metres high, but crucially, players are forbidden from moving or bending it to take a kick. On tight pitches, this forces players to adopt awkward, crab-like run-ups, essentially dribbling around a plastic pole just to cross the ball. You will often see players asking the linesman if they can hold the flag back. The answer is always a hard no. In one Premier League match, a player actually uprooted the flag to celebrate a goal and was promptly booked. It looks silly, but the flag is considered a sacred boundary marker. The rule is simple. You can curl the ball, but you cannot bend the pole. Goalkeeper, kit clash. The laws of the game are obsessed with visibility. The goalkeeper must wear colours that distinguish them from everyone else, teammates, opponents, and officials. But since referees usually wear black, yellow, or green, and keepers love neon colours, clashes happen constantly, and in this battle, the referee always wins. There have been professional matches delayed for 15 minutes simply because the goalkeeper only brought a yellow jersey, and the ref refused to change his yellow jersey. It is pure administrative awkwardness. The solution? You will sometimes see a millionaire Champions League goalkeeper forced to wear a generic, oversized training bib over their expensive kit just to satisfy the rules. They end up looking like a Sunday League player who forgot their gear, all because of a colour clash. It is the ultimate proof that in football, aesthetics will never beat bureaucracy. The drop ball dead end. A dropped ball is designed to restart play neutrally. Because of this, you cannot score directly from it. The ball must touch at least 2 players before a goal can be awarded. There are rare instances in amateur football where a referee drops the ball, a player smashes a half volley instantly into the top corner, and then wheels away celebrating. The referee has to awkwardly blow the whistle and point for a goal kick. Confusion usually reigns. It feels counterintuitive that the ball is live but not live enough to score. It's a safety valve to prevent teams from unfairly exploiting a restart meant for sportsmanship. A direct shot from a drop ball is essentially a pass to the goalkeeper. The penalty rebound ban. Physics dictates that if you smash a ball against a metal pole, it will bounce back. Football dictates that if you touch that rebound, you are in big trouble. This is the double touch rule, and it catches players out constantly. Here is the nightmare scenario. You step up for a penalty, send the keeper the wrong way, but your shot rattles the post. The ball rebounds perfectly to your feet. Instinct takes over, you tap it into the empty net and start celebrating. But the referee blows the whistle immediately. Why? Because a penalty is a restart of play, and you cannot pass to yourself. Until another player, usually the goalkeeper, touches the ball, you are technically forbidden from playing it again. If the keeper saves it and it bounces back, game on. But if you play a 1-2 with the goalpost, it is an illegal self-pass, and the defence gets an indirect free kick. It turns a lucky second chance into a humiliating turnover. The minimum 7 players rule. How many players do you actually need to play a game of football? The answer is 7. This is the absolute flaw. A match cannot start, and more importantly, cannot continue, if either team drops below this magic number. This typically happens when a team completely loses their heads and racks up 5 red cards, the moment that 5th player walks, leaving only 6 teammates behind. The referee must abandon the match immediately. The most famous instance of this was the Battle of Bramall Lane in 2002. Sheffield United had 3 players sent off and 2 more left injured after they had already used all their substitutes. With only 6 men standing, the game was called off. While the rule exists to stop a match from becoming a farce, it has a cynical side too. If a team is losing 10-0 and just wants to go home, they could theoretically start getting sent off on purpose to trigger this rule. It is essentially football's version of a rage quit button. The referee is a ghost. For over a century, the referee was technically invisible. Well, not literally, but the rules treated them like a blade of grass or a goalpost. If a striker smashed a shot that deflected off the referee's backside and flew into the net, it actually counted. The ref was considered part of the field, meaning bad luck for the defence. But football finally woke up to this injustice in 2019. The lawmakers realised that having an official accidentally assist a winning goal was ridiculous, so the ghost rule was scrapped. Under the current laws, if the ball hits the referee and goes into the goal, changes possession, or starts a promising attack, play is immediately killed. The game restarts with an uncontested dropped ball. It is a massive improvement for fairness, effectively saving referees from the embarrassment of accidentally becoming the man of the match for the wrong team. Now, if they block a pass, they have to blow the whistle, look sheepish, and give the ball back. Broken crossbar equals game over. We tend to think of football rules as being about fouls or offsides, but sometimes the game stops simply because the furniture breaks. The laws of the game are incredibly strict here. If a crossbar breaks or is displaced and cannot be safely repaired, the match must be abandoned immediately. There is absolutely no provision for an imaginary crossbar or a rope strung between posts. The most famous example is the legendary broken post game of 1971 between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Werder Bremen. During a chaotic attack, striker Herbert Laumann fell into the net with such force that the old wooden post snapped completely in half like a twig. After several minutes of awkward attempts to prop it back up using tape and hope, the referee had no choice but to call the whole thing off. While modern professional stadiums keep spare goals on standby, for a lower league team, a broken bar is the ultimate game over screen. Faking a throw-in. Imagine this. It's the 90th minute. You are clinging to a 1-0 lead, and you have a throw-in deep in your own half. A defender is jumping around right in your face. Instinctively, you decide to outsmart them with a pump fake, pretending to launch the ball down the line to make them flinch, only to hold onto it. It looks clever, right? Wrong. According to the laws of the game, this is strictly forbidden. While the rules allow you to abort your run-up, you cannot physically simulate the throwing motion to deceive an opponent. This falls under unsporting behaviour, the exact same umbrella as diving or shouting to distract a player. Referees particularly hate this because it is almost exclusively used for cynical time wasting near the corner flag. If the official catches you acting out this little drama, you won't just look silly, you'll get slapped with a yellow card. No repicks allowed. For a goalkeeper, releasing the ball is a point of no return. Once they put the ball into play, whether by rolling it or dropping it, they cannot touch it with their hands again until another player touches it. This prevents them from dribbling a few yards and picking it back up to waste time. This rule causes pure panic in lower league football. There is a viral clip where a goalkeeper drops the ball to argue with the referee, forgetting that the ball is now live. Realising his mistake as a striker rushes in, he panics and picks it back up. Indirect free kick, 6 yards out. By dropping the ball, the keeper essentially handcuffs themselves. You will often see them screaming at their own defenders to kick it back, just so they can legally use their hands again. It turns the most powerful player on the pitch into a helpless spectator in a split second. No own goals from restarts. Imagine the most embarrassing moment of your life. You are taking a free kick on the edge of your own penalty box. You slip, shank the ball backward, and it flies straight into your own top corner. You bury your head in your hands, thinking you've just scored a humiliating own goal. But wait, the referee ignores the net and points to the corner flag. This is due to a fascinating fail-safe in the laws. You cannot score an own goal directly from a restart. Whether it's a free kick, a throw-in, or a goal kick, the ball must touch another player before entering your net to count. If it goes straight in, the goal is wiped out, and the opposition is awarded a corner kick instead. It effectively turns a career-ending disaster into a minor inconvenience. It is essentially the rulebook's way of patting you on the back and saying, "Don't worry, that was too stupid to actually count."